It's Thursday, August the 11th, 2022 at 6:55 p.m. here locally in southern Arizona. This is the One Hiraeth Project's DiaryCast number 52, entitled The Last Hurrah. About a year ago, on August the 19th of 2021, I decided I wanted to do a weekly DiaryCast. DiaryCast to me at the time meant kind of like a diary and a podcast mixed into one, where I talked about the unique and unusual things that were happening in my world because I needed an outlet. I had and I have so many unexplainable kinds of occurrences in my life that I wanted to find a way to express them, to share them, and to offer any insights I might have for whomever might come across them. That made the first DiaryCast period run from August the 13th through August the 19th. So you can say I'm only 2 days short of the actual anniversary date of the 1HP DiaryCast. My goal was simple: to walk out to a beautiful spot, pick some kind of situation, occurrence, experience that I had during the week just past, and share it live. So I took my cell phone, went for one of my really long walks, stopped at a beautiful location, and then just began to film the scene and talk. What I wanted to make sure of was that I made it as easy as possible on myself, to keep them short, and that way I thought that I would have motivation to continue to do them every week for as long as I decided I would do them, until I didn't want to do them anymore. I had no idea I would actually keep doing them for a full year, but here we are. And the thing is, I don't want to do them anymore. I guess it might actually be more accurate to say, not so much that I'm done, but I've completed the cycle. I have approached every possible topic you can imagine, and then some. Never did I imagine in my wildest dreams that I would have some of the experiences I had, which included having my longest friend die last November on the 7th, and on that date have a spiritual experience that I talk about in one DiaryCast, and then 2 days later, which would have been the next DiaryCast, that I find out, in fact, that he had died on that date at approximately that time, fulfilling a decades-old understanding that we had, that whichever one of us went first, if there was a way to let the other one know there was more, that we would. And he did. I've shared synchronicity after synchronicity, experiences that are so diverse and have such depth to them that it would be a disservice to try to summarize them in a short little quip here and there. But they included things like having experiences outside of time, of having closure with an event that occurred back in December of 2016, and more fully understanding why this character named Oliver came into my life in the first place, what it all meant, where I was supposed to take it all. And I feel like I finally understand. It also includes what I talked about last week, coming full circle on a years-long acquaintance, or I guess I could really call it a friendship of the most obtuse kind, where I was finally able to give to them what they had gifted to me so many years ago, and that is the knowing that there is more. Because I had the opportunity to come up with a phrase, to post it on a Google Drive, to date and timestamp it before I contacted this person via email to let them know that I planned to try this experiment on the date of the solar winds on the 3rd of August, telling them generally what my methodology would be so that they could choose to either participate or not. And if they chose to participate, they too would attempt to try to capture or tune in to that frequency, receive this word or phrase, and then post it online in a way that I suggested might be the easiest way to achieve it, so that there was no direct contact between the two of us. And if they hit the mark, then no one could say that we had any pre-planning because we hadn't even been in contact. And it worked. With that, I knew that I finally come to the end of the road there. Now, of course, I'm going to continue to have all kinds of experiences. My life just is otherworldly. I live a very eclectic life that I adore, where the world talks to me and I talk back. And it's a mutual exchange of energy, frequency, vibration, where I understand that reality isn't what we've been taught it is, and that no matter how much I am able to absorb and learn, there will always be more and more and more. There is one thing, however, that happened to me during this last DiaryCast period that I feel is a good way to, let's say, sum it all up with one name: Bob Ross. In the strangest way, I received 2 references to Bob Ross in this DiaryCast period. Then a Bob Ross video, one of those painting videos that he used to do for PBS, that he recorded, by the way, at Ball State University, where I went to school, and in the hometown where I grew up, Muncie, Indiana. I have no idea how that ended up in my YouTube feed, but because I received those 2 references just prior, one of them was on Facebook, on a group site called Weird Stuff You Only See in Near Tucson. On the 4th of August at 8:54 a.m., someone posted a photo that they had taken of a sunset or a sunrise, and in the description it said, Bob Ross was on it yesterday. And by on it, they were referring to this bike loop that runs around Tucson, Arizona. Then I heard Miriam Kramer use it during one of her readings, and I tried to find it because I didn't make note of either of those things at first, but I couldn't find it. Then when Bob Ross's painting video showed up in my YouTube feed, as obscure as that is, I thought, there's something here. But I didn't have time to watch it, so I put up a calendar entry for a few days in the future, and when it popped up, I was still tied up with other things. So I pushed it forward again and again. And finally, on the morning of August 8th, I watched it. Now, August 8th is Lionsgate, for those of you who may not be aware. And for those of you who are, you know that it is an annual date of amazing energy that we have the ability to utilize to our benefit if we so choose. Now, we're talking like 4:30 in the morning on the 8th of August. So I wasn't really aware of the fact yet. I hadn't awakened enough to make the connection that it was Lionsgate. But because it was on my calendar and I knew that I was going to need to drink a cup of coffee before I did anything, I decided to give this a shot. I mean, come on, the timing was perfect. And here's what happened. He began to make statements that had such an impact to me spiritually that I started making notes. And all I'm going to do here is read them, because their impact, their reference, their reverie is evident. Direct links to all of these are in the description section as well, if you want to take a look at any of them. This is your world, so you create any kind of illusion that you want in your world. You're restricted only by your imagination. You can move mountains. You can do anything on this canvas. On this canvas, you have total power. If you add a shadow, it becomes a separate entity. When you put a shadow in here, it really becomes a personality of its own. Just work with different planes of existence. If there's a secret to anything, it's practice. Just practice. When you have this much power, you can push lakes anywhere you want. And to me, a lake was a metaphor for whatever you want to put in that blank. So thanks, Bob, for the insights. And it just goes to show you that the universe speaks to you in the most amazing ways if you're only willing to listen. I'm extremely grateful in knowing that I've come so far from wanting to understand this more that my mother told me about when she passed on May the 26th of 2009, where within 5 minutes of her passing, her 85-year-old body went from that to a younger person of 18 to 24. And had my sister not been in the room with me, as I've said many times before, I'm sure I would have talked myself out of it. But we both saw what we saw, and you can't unsee something like that. And it was beautiful. So I guess in wrapping this up, keeping it as short as possible on this, the final DiaryCast entry, I'm not saying that I won't post any more videos, because I'm sure I will. I have this need to talk, and sometimes I just do. So I'm absolutely sure that when the mood strikes, I'll be online again, recording and posting something, just because I feel like it's what I want to do at that moment in time. I'm at peace. I'm extremely content. I feel like I have closure on so many levels that I could never have achieved if I wasn't willing to put myself out there. And I feel grateful every day that I had the courage to try. So to those of you who've been watching these diary casts over the weeks, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for being a part of my world energetically, even though I don't know who you are. When the time is right, I'll be back. Not for diary casts, but for something new, fresh, exciting, and you can be damn sure that it will be otherworldly. So for this week, this year, and this series, I'll leave it there.